And unfortunately, our mayor just couldn't give him a decent answer. And frankly, I was appalled by the mayor's political sarcasm. And that's just what it was, political sarcasm. Why he wouldn't answer, I don't know. And I don't think he knows either. But you know, the problem, the way I see it, is if you remember back last year when we were talking about this year's budget, I said to you people that we had $62 million, or just around that sum, in our general fund balance. Now this June 30th of 2010, after some lengthy digging around until I finally got to what I sought, turns out there's a $49 million fund balance. What the heck happened to $13 million in our city? I don't think anybody can answer that. Mr. Bacamino, you're concerned with $50 per diems to Ms. Comartin and to the building authorities. How about $13 million? Where's your concern about that? You didn't even ask the mayor about any questions about our budget. Mr. Liss, I'm proud of you. You did a good job there. I'm glad you stood your ground. Why didn't the rest of you do it? Ms. Vogt, you did an admirable job too. I appreciate that. You know, this ain't your money we're talking about. It's some of your money because I know you pay taxes too. But you know whose money it really is? Mine, Mr. Khrushchevchik's, all these people here. That's all their money. You're supposed to be our caretakers. Don't you remember when you took the oath of office? You raised your right hand and you swore that you were going to uphold the charter and the Constitution and the laws of the state of Michigan? Unfortunately, some of you people have failed miserably. It's unbelievable. And here's another thing that, I don't know if anybody noticed this, but this is taken from the Warren Weekly on April the 13th of 2011. And what it did is it announced this meeting, this public meeting about the budget. But you have to pay close attention to the words that it said. That there will be a public meeting and they will discuss the property tax millage rate proposed to be levied in support or to support the proposed budget will be a subject of this hearing. Now you remember back when you went to school, you learned about the English language, and one of the things was past tense, present tense, and future tense. And when I read this, there was something in there that bugged me, really upset me. This was not the past tense of the money that you're going to talk about our budget, about the money that has already been levied, or the money that presently has been levied, but the words are to be levied. To me, that is significant because it signifies the future. That means that somebody, whoever wrote this notice, is giving me as a citizen, and I think I understand this, that they're going to ask for a millage increase. Well, I'll tell you one thing. My father, when he was living, he always told me never ask for a tax increase during an election year, because that's suicide. So, just to forewarn you about that, very in a corner of the Warren Weekly, thanks to Mr. Khrushchevchik here, he's the one that pointed this out to me, and we discussed this. Now, is there something that's significantly coming out of a back room here? I hope not. And another thing that I would like to talk about, maybe this isn't the right time, but you know, the mayor made reference to Mr. Skip McAdams, our fire commissioner, what a fine job he did with the EMS. And I too agree, Mr. McAdams did a wonderful, wonderful job. But you know, there are people that kept this issue alive for 5 years. Mr. Atkins was one, Mr. Berry was one, I was one, Mr. Joey D was one, and some other people were. We kept this, we fought. We brought out signs in front of fire stations, and we did everything we could. But I want to read you something that was in the Macomb Daily, April the 21st. It was a letter that a man wrote to the letters to the editor. Maybe most of you read it. If you didn't, I'll read it to you. It says, EMS unit helps save a life. Quote, I had a very unfortunate incident in my home recently. I had a 95% obstruction in my esophagus due to a massive blood clot, making it very difficult to breathe. Fortunately, I was able to dial 911. The 911 operator was a lifesaver sent from heaven. She was by far the most compassionate, guiding, caring person that I ever dealt with while in distress. Very quickly, she dispatched the fire department and the EMS units to my home. The fact that she stayed with me on the telephone while I waited for help, giving me dates on the location of the EMS responders, was very comforting. In a very short period of time, I had 8 uniformed personnel in my living room attending to my medical needs. The professionalism of these people was outstanding. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind that these people saved my life, and for this I will forever be thankful. In these days of gloom and doom and never-ending bad news, it's nice to acknowledge someone for not only doing their job, but doing it in a manner above and beyond expectations. Ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are, I'm proud that I had something to do with this, as is Mr. Krzysztofczyk, Joey D., Kyle Atkins, myself, and others. But the person that I feel has been really overlooked and not hardly mentioned was Mr. Louis Birdie. Because I can recall when he had a presentation in Conference Room A how he laid out a plan. And unfortunately, our mayor did not act upon it. I think Ms. Camp had something to do with that too, so she deserves some credit for that. But he failed to act. He had a year, 2 years to act. No, he didn't. In my opinion, he did not find it feasible.
Mr. Sawyer, do you have any comments directly related to the budget?
Yes.
Thank you.
Absolutely. This is all related to the budget. So what I'm saying is this. He brought up the fact that we brought in, what, $2 million added to our fire department? That's wonderful. But the fact that the EMS saved a life is more significant. There is no price you can put on somebody's life. One more thing that I would like to say is, Mr. Joey D. is absolutely right when he says to you, when you look at this budget, just remember, it's the people that are paying the price. It comes out of our pockets. And of the people in this city, like I, there's about anywhere from 35 to 40% people that are on fixed incomes. And when you decide that you want to either raise their tax or keep this budget in line, just remember, these people don't get any raises. They are the supporters of this whole city. And if you neglect them in any way, they'll remember you come election time. Thank you much.
Thank you very much. Good evening.
Good evening, City Council. Well, good times is what got us into trouble. We spent too much, and we didn't save enough. We squandered money, as for instance on this new city hall that we have. Even to today, it's draining our budget and utility costs, and the facade on it looks like the Hazel Park racetrack. And so we are in trouble. Our police cars, they were all one color. Now we changed them all to another color. I don't know why. It's just a big expense. We threw good money away acting just like the federal government. I think that we forgot to be fiscally sound, and now we're in trouble. It didn't just happen. It's been going on for some times. We always look to destroy buildings instead of maintaining them, like the Warren City Pool, which has disappointed so many people in this city. And now we have to be fiscally responsible. Good luck.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening, Madam Chairman, Chairperson, distinguished members of council, honorable city attorney. Henry Krastovchuk, longtime resident of this community. First thing that the nine of yous must ask themselves, who do I represent? Do I represent the taxpayer who's footing the bill? Or do I represent the people who are making a living for working in the city? It's a fine line there. Based on my experience coming to these council meetings, I firmly believe that the nine people up there, city council, represent the public workers. I'll tell you why. This budget, 83% of what's going to be spent is going to be spent on people cost. Subtract 83% from 100, you got 17% to run the rest of the city. If this was a private enterprise or a business, you'd never make it with such an overhead. What are we doing about our neighborhood street repairs? Is there a provision in this budget that's adequate to start taking care of our streets? It's pretty bad. I mean, my neighborhood road is going to be like Chicago Road. Chuck holes all over the place. Well, yes, they come in there and they throw some of the coal patch and they go on. Is there a plan systematically to start repairing these roads in the city of Warren? I don't think so. If you people truly represent us, you will reduce the millage and give these people a break. How many city workers or public workers that you know of lose their homes through forfeiture that they can't pay their mortgages? How many lose their property because they can't pay the property taxes? And yet you've had union members come up here and say, oh my God, the world's falling in on us. We can't stand it anymore. 50% of them people don't even live in this community. But they're protecting their money. They're telling you we can't take any more cuts. What about us that pay the bills? Where do we get our break at? We get punished not only by the high tax rates, but by fees. I don't